Thank you so much, friend, for joining me today. Thank you so much for your prayers and support for this ministry. Despite the known facts and knowledge and information from witnesses, in spite of all these way of evidences that the Seventh-day Adventist Church was heavily infiltrated and not only infiltrated, but occupied, hijacked, steered by the agents of Rome and secret societies, the FRAT and the sororities, deployed not only in the conference, general conference, the division, union, the conferences, even institutions, medical, and also educational, and the local churches, the foot soldiers of Satan through Rome, continues to worship on Saturday, but they worship Trinity. Why is this continuing in spite of the fact that there are heavy proofs and the weight of evidences that the SDA is thoroughly, thoroughly infiltrated by the Jesuit? And the Jesuit, they persuaded the General Conference to vote on the Trinity in 1980. Remember, Leroy Fromm was a Freemason. He is a part of the frat men or secret societies that occupied a high position and influenced the rest of Adventism after his death in 1974. So you could try to analyze that the church is indeed occupied not only by the Jesuit, the frat men, the sorority, the Freemasons, and all the other organizations that preach and propagate darkness. Satan himself had influenced the present Seventh-day Adventist Church worshiping the triune God. This was not the case of the Seventh-day Adventists before. In its first 50 years, and in the next 50 years of apostasy, and now in the 45 years of Omega of apostasy.
Strife and chaos and all of these things for one end, that Catholicism should rule. Listen.
I did training in monasteries and convent where I prepare cursigistas, the Legion of Mary, the Blue Army, many of these militant organizations. I train and prepare how they can become Baptists, how they can become Adventists, how they can become Methodists, how they can become Presbyterian, how they can become Pentecostal, and all these areas where they most infiltrate in the area.
I don't know, I may be treading on thin ice when I bring this up, but I didn't write this, but I think it's appropriate to put it in here. Have you ever heard of Alberto Rivera?
Alberto Rivera, no.
He was a Jesuit priest.
Yes, I do now. I know exactly who he is.
And he came out of Catholicism and became a Protestant. And he knew that he would be assassinated. I have seen his videos where he was being interviewed. I saw him being interviewed even by a Seventh-day Adventist when Alberto was talking on that video about how the Jesuits had infiltrated all these denominations and universities and so forth. And the Adventist interviewer said, but not the Seventh-day Adventist Church, right? And Alberto said,
introducing the most practical anti-Adventist.
Don't buy this evil advertisements in the you don't trust the advertisements in what do you call this, YouTube or internet. Never trust anything. Do your own research. Sorry for that. I have no way of stopping them because I'm not subscribed to their Prime. So anyway, let's go back to that interview by the Trinitarian Defender Advent Media Connect. They are laughing at the fact that Seventh-day Adventism is highly, heavily, and consciously infiltrated because they still remain Trinitarian. The Seventh-day Adventist founders were non-Trinitarians. But the fact that they all accept that this is true, but still remain Trinitarian. Okay, let me turn the
Saw this out of the man's mouth. He said the Adventist Church, Seventh-day Adventist Church, has been more thoroughly infiltrated than any.
You heard that? Thoroughly infiltrated. That is correct. Leroy Woodfrom versus Wilkinson. They had this fight in the church, and Wilkinson calling Fromm as the most dangerous man. He was a Jesuit. Saturday, he would probably be a pastor, disguised as a pastor. Sunday, somebody saw him. He is a priest in a church, Catholic church.
Organization on earth.
That was Fromm, the one who introduced the coming of the third person God, and influential that the church turned Trinity instead of the true God our Father and his Son Jesus Christ.
I can testify to that.
And I was shocked. However, that doesn't mean we leave the Adventist Church. That means we.
Okay, this is where the critical statement is to be dissected. We should not leave. The Trinitarian General Conference Corporation, they asked people to leave if they discovered the fundamental principles. Those who are Trinitarians are still blinded despite the knowledge that the church is highly infiltrated by Jesuits, fratmen, sororities, Freemasons, and all the other dark organizations within the church, killing, underworld, murdering, adultery, stealing, corruption, embezzlement, sexual promiscuity, LGBTQIA, women ordination, spiritual formation. All of these evil had been in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but still, he would say, stay the church. I would counter that by saying the Seventh-day Adventist Church name has been taken over by the Jesuits. We should reclaim the name by stepping out of the belief system and go back to the principles, the fundamental principles.
Defend our faith.
That's right. We defend it.
The faith of the SDA was a non-Trinitarian faith. That is the truth.
Here in his testimony out of Chick Publications.
You see, they assume that the Trinity doctrine is the doctrine of the pioneers, and therefore the doctrine of Mrs. White, and therefore the doctrine of the scriptures. Seventh-day Adventist Trinitarians are so mistaken.
Which is not Adventist. He's not Adventist, and Chick Publications is not Adventist. But here he gives the method that they used as Jesuits. He was involved in espionage himself. He would bring pastors into compromising situations, lead them into sin, and then openly expose them to destroy them and to destroy their churches and so forth. And their method was that where believers are concerned, they would lead to a one world church. Where non-believers are concerned, they would lead to a one world government.
Wow.
And he says here, and this was back in 1982, we have successfully infiltrated all of these organizations. Thanks to our undercover agents, we have quietly moved into Christian TV and publishing and have been accepted as teachers, pastors, and evangelists. We are pushing only love and unity to pull us all together. There you have it. Oh, wow. It's love, unity, love, and acceptance.
Triangular love of the triune God. That's their main purpose. The central doctrine of the Roman Catholic is indeed Trinity. Why am I bringing this to you? Because I'm appealing to Seventh-day Adventists like me who have faithfully and sincerely, earnestly served the church for the whole generation of my life personally, and as an ordained pastor, as a senior pastor, and climbed the ranks. I could say this with confidence and authority. I'm appealing to you to pick up the fundamental principles of the early Seventh-day Adventists. Just by reading and comparing with the fundamental beliefs, 28 fundamental beliefs today, you will see the difference, and you can make an informed decision and a well discovered truth by just comparing the two documents, 1872 fundamental principles and 1980 fundamental beliefs, 28 fundamental beliefs. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is run by Freemasons as of today. It's run by Jesuits as of today. How? They are educated in the seminaries by Jesuits, Freemasons, FRATs, sororities, in the colleges and universities. All Seventh-day Adventist universities and colleges. Does that mean we should not go there? Yes, it means that we should If you go there, you're aware that you're in a error or the lion's den, because they teach Trinity. They teach false and error combined, Sabbath and Trinity, immortality of the soul, and the dualism, spiritual formation. All of these are required in the seminaries. So most likely the present Seventh-day Adventists are all brainwashed by the Trinitarians, the doctrine, central doctrine of Rome. In spite of all these weight of evidences and proofs, people are still blinded. Why? That's the nature of a person. Mob mentality, cattle, herd mentality, and assuming and lazy to discover or search for themselves. Not only lazy, but preoccupied and busy. Therefore, the solution is read history of the Seventh-day Adventist. Go back to, we have internet, search 1870 1889 fundamental principles versus 28 fundamental beliefs of SDA. You will see there the trace of the serpent, the whispers of the Jesuits inside the Seventh-day Church. I already knew this just like them before, but I was still a Trinitarian until 3 or 4 years ago. I discovered for myself that the church was heavily and highly infiltrated by the Jesuit. Proof, Trinity doctrine. May God our Father, Jehovah, bless you, and His only begotten divine Son, Jesus Christ, may be gracious to you now and forevermore. Amen.